Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I am trying something different that I am feeling guided to. I've thought about this for way too long before choosing to give it a try. What I am doing today is I will be pulling cards from this Archetype deck. Today is October 2nd, 2024. It is the day of the eclipse. It is a very powerful time. The energies have been thick and heavy and multifaceted, and some days I feel very tired, and some days I feel very energized, and some days I feel very kind of depressed and this kind of impersonal sense of gloom and doom, even though nothing's technically wrong. So I imagine that those of you who do find this channel are probably feeling some version of that or some combination of these feelings. So to those of you who happen to find this material is timeless. If you find it right now, I encourage you to connect with the reading, whether it's the eclipse, whether it's an eclipse on another day or another year. If you find this, there may be something here for you. So here I go. I will be doing a kind of card by card reading where I will pull a card. I will read the description or feel into the description and share what I am receiving for the card, and then usually I will get an intuition that it's time for another, and we'll pull as many cards as feels right. So I am shuffling the cards right now. The intention is to receive a message for anyone who comes in touch with this video, anyone who comes across this material. What is the most helpful and what is the most important energy? What are the most important energies for the collective? Sorry about my phone buzzing, if you can hear that. I forgot to. This card is arrows. Arrows. I will include these as well. Arrows is the energy of divine union. It is the energy of connecting to otherness that you then can bring in and make your own in order to know yourself better. It is a way for you to be able to connect in a deeper way. So let me just give you a little bit more from the guidebook. I do like the guidebook because it reminds me of aspects of each card that I may otherwise have forgotten. And people say, you go completely intuitive. Some people only read the book. I'm somewhere in between, right? So, okay, here's one. Arrows reconnects us with the primal longing to merge. So this is very interesting, right? Because I actually just did a video on individuation. Individuation is about coming up with your own sense of self that is not based on other people, that is not based in modeling or emulating someone or the programmings that we receive, right? However, once you have individuated, or as in the process of individuation, you then become able to merge with momentarily, right? This is not like a permanent, oh, I found my lover and now we are one. These are momentary mergers so that we can deeply experience the energy of a being, a person, an animal, a plant, a crystal, a weather, a building, a space, right? it's a way for you to actually be able to connect very, very deeply. So as Eros is coming up today with the eclipse, or whatever day you're watching this, it may be speaking to your need for this individuated merger. It's a little bit of a paradox, but I hope that that makes sense to you. You are being pulled into the explorations of what does it really mean to desire, right? Don't think of it romantically necessarily, although that may be an aspect for you, but don't think of it romantically, right? It may be a desire for, the fulfillment of your purpose, the desire to connect with spirit, the desire to connect with the earth, the desire to find work that is more meaningful. That, you see what I mean? The desire to connect with your children or your animals, right? So think of desire in this open way. So that feels like the energy of Eros. I'm going to pull one more card. So hopefully that was meaningful to you on some level at this time. And we will move on. What is another important archetypal energy that is helpful for the collective at this time? You? Okay. This is a really interesting one. The empty room. The empty room. Look at the energy of this card and how, while it looks like the empty room, you're kind of like lying on the floor looking at the ceiling, and yet the walls appear to be made of glass and you're looking out into space, or maybe the walls are painted in space. So why don't we read this? This card does not come up for me a lot at all. I do a lot of these readings for myself, and certain cards come up often, not because of the shuffling patterns, believe me. But certain cards don't come up very often at all. So I'm just going to read some of these aspects. This may be useful for you at this time of the eclipse, or whenever it is you're listening to this. So the empty room haunts us all. It is the universal and all too frequent feeling of lack, of wanting, of the craving to fill ourselves with something, anything. We too often attempt to remedy the discomfort of the empty room by any means necessary, leading us to a culture of more. Ironically, the empty room is filled to the brim with potential, yet we perceive it as not enough. This card is a cry for patience, for sitting within the barren walls of not knowing, for awaiting true vision and purpose before attaching to what we should do next to save our outward appearance. Be with the nothingness, be with the impatience. The empty room has immense power. Let others wonder what you're doing. If you can settle into the magic of emptiness, you will soon hear its whispers of wisdom. So immediately what this makes me think of, and I apologize, I'm going to silence my phone here. Immediately, what this makes me think of is the fact that at this moment, there's this pivotal energy of the past. I mean, this is always true, actually, right? Where the past is no more and the future is unfolding. But we're in a particularly potent moment of this right now, as we are challenged more and more to release the old. This is what eclipses very often are about, is, releasing the old and bringing in the new. And a lot of us have a very, very hard time in that space in between, where if you release the old, the new hasn't come in yet, right? It's like you have to empty your cup first. But that means you have to live with an empty cup. And I think that the empty room card is coming up right now for the collective. And I'm part of this. I will take this in very deeply as well. is that we're having to sit with this emptiness, right? The impatience, what's coming, what is next, what is going to fill this room right now? And you're being asked through this reading and through this message to allow yourself to stay present with the emptiness. There is like this, the reading was saying, the booklet was saying, the room is actually rich and like filled to the brim with potential, which is why, the very first thing I noticed in the artwork, right, is it's space, like it's as full as is space, right, as is outer space, with just so much potential. And we tend to think of darkness as empty, and it's actually quite full. So let's see. Oh, interesting. Okay. I am sometimes I like to kind of glance at the sides here, and this says the archetype of the empty room is also portrayed as a hungry ghost, always feeding but never satiated. So this is speaking to our addictions. I've been hearing this from many astrologers and intuitives at this time in particular, speaking to the need to look at your addictions right now, and the addiction to this culture of more, right? The addiction to, how can I fill my space and my time? And if I'm sitting for a second and, in boredom, something's wrong. And, that's the hungry ghost. It's a Buddhist term, where no matter how much you eat, you are still hungry, right? Because you're not feeding yourself from the inside. So don't take this from a shaming perspective at all. And anything you take in here, bring it into yourself from a place of nourishment as opposed to judgment. Okay. So, all right, we'll pick one more card because that feels appropriate. And I think that will be a good complete reading. So, we have Eros and we have the empty room. And what is the third card for the collective to bring in archetypal energies that will be helpful? One more card, please. Pilgrim. I want you to, and the reason I put the card in on the screen so close is so that you can connect to the energy in the artwork. Notice how the first two cards were both black and white, very black and white. Which is, I always find that interesting about Eros, because Eros is so rich, right? But I think the purpose of the black and whiteness of that particular card is that we fill it with our own color, right? However, the Pilgrim is a very colorful card. The Pilgrim, you already have a sense of what the Pilgrim is, right? We'll open the booklet here, but the Pilgrim speaks to traveling, right? Going towards something. So let's take a look here. The Pilgrim, it is the archetypal wanderer, right? You're seeking wisdom, you're seeking experience, you're seeking meaning. And it's both a literal physical travel, and it is also an internal travel. And what are the parts of yourself, the aspects of yourself that you may still need to look through, look in. What are the aspects, when we talk about shadow work, right? Shadow is where the things are murky and unseen and unconscious. Well, the Pilgrim travels through the shadow to shine a light and discover what is it that's been murky and dark. The Pilgrim knows that the heart belongs in motion, right? We are always, and think about this, right? You're in the empty room. Just the card before this, we're talking about the need to be sort of still, right? To sit with. But when you sit with, you are still traveling in a way. It's not a traveling of, let me fill my my senses, let me fill my perceptions with impressions. It is an inward travel, right? When you sit in the empty room, and you may be sitting in the empty room to connect to this need for individuated connection. I'm looking at the arrows card, where you are looking at, your need to be who you authentically are. That is really ultimately what the pilgrim is seeking, right? Who am I? Reflected in my travels, reflected in my emotions, right? Your sense of adventure, your sense of going towards this new reality that you uncover in the empty room, that you uncover in your search for, how do I be my connected self, my individuated self? And I do this, right, because we have a connection from earth to sky, from Pachamama to Father Sky, to the galactic center, to whatever it is you want to call it, God, spirit, right? As you do this, you're able to do this. You're able to connect to people, to things, to animals, to nature, right? This is such a beautiful set of cards. I feel their interconnectedness. I should probably simply include these, but I will hold these up for you one last time before I end the recording. So here they all are: arrows, the empty room, and pilgrim. So this is my very first offering to the collective of this type. I would very, very much like to hear how this felt to you, whether you found this helpful, useful, boring, interesting. Let me know. I genuinely would like to know. I have been feeling called to do these readings, and there are hundreds of other people doing the same. And of course, I bring in my own, but I would like for it to be worth your time and your attention and your energy. So please let me know in the comments. I would really deeply appreciate it. I really do hope that you found it helpful. But if you didn't, can you please let me know, and let me know what would be helpful if I were to continue? Are there any tweaks? Are there any energies that you feel would be more helpful in general? So thank you so much for watching, for making it all the way to the end of the video. I send you so much love and gratitude, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.